Emperor Yoon Jae-sung stood in the center of the Grand Council chamber on Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Empire. The massive room could hold representatives from all 847 member species, but today only the most important advisors were present. The Emperor was not happy. "Explain to me again how a single ship can threaten the entire empire," he said, his voice echoing off the chamber walls. Strategic Advisor Kim Tae-hyun stepped forward. He was a tall man with sharp features and intelligent eyes. "Your Majesty, the vessel represents technology we do not understand. Our scientists believe it operates on physical principles beyond our current knowledge." "One ship," the Emperor repeated. "Yes, Your Majesty. But if one ship can do this, how many more might exist? And what do the beings who built it want?" Diplomatic. Corp leader Shin Hye-jin spoke up. She was known throughout the galaxy for her ability to communicate with even the strangest alien species. "We should attempt peaceful contact. Perhaps they are explorers like we once were. Or perhaps they are conquerors, studying our defenses," growled General Kwan Sang-wook. The old soldier had fought in dozens of wars across the galaxy. "I say, we strike first before they can call for reinforcements." Dr. Choi Mina's voice came through the communication system from Viridian Prime. "Your Majesty, attacking the ship would be extremely unwise. Our weapons might not even affect it. Worse, it might see an attack as proof that we are hostile." These cry. Emperor walked to the great window that showed the sprawling city below. Millions of beings from hundreds of worlds lived and worked together under imperial rule. It had taken 1,000 years to build this peaceful civilization. "What do our intelligence services know?" he asked. Intelligence Director Lim So-young activated a holographic display. "We have been searching our historical records. What we found is disturbing." The hologram showed star charts from different time periods. Red marks appeared on various locations. "Similar energy signatures have been detected before," Lim So-young continued. "Always in remote sectors, always briefly. Each time our investigation teams found nothing. We assumed the readings were sensor errors." "How long has this been happening?" Kim Tae-hyun asked. "At least 90 years. Possibly longer." Lim So-young highlighted several red marks. "The pattern suggests these ships have been watching us for nearly a century." The room fell silent. The idea that unknown beings had been observing the Empire without being detected was terrifying. "Your Majesty," came Admiral Park Hyun-soo's voice through the communication system. "Captain Bae Seong-ho is ready to depart with the Eternal Dominion. We recommend sending our most advanced ship to establish contact." The Emperor nodded. "Do it. But Captain Bae is to attempt communication only. No aggressive actions unless directly threatened." "Understood, Your Majesty." Captain Bae Seong-ho was the Empire's youngest ship captain, but also one of its best. The Eternal Dominion was the newest and most powerful ship in the Imperial fleet. If anyone could handle first contact with mysterious aliens, it was him. 2 days later, the Eternal Dominion dropped out of warp near the mystery ship. Captain Bae Seong-ho stood on his bridge, studying the alien vessel through the main viewer. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The ship's hull seemed to shift between solid matter and pure energy. Strange patterns of light moved across its surface like living things. "Size estimate?" Captain Bae asked his science officer. "Approximately 800 meters long. But sir, the internal volume readings don't match the external measurements. It's like the ship is bigger inside than outside." "That's impossible." "Yes, sir. So is everything else about this vessel." Captain Bae activated the communication system. "Attention, unknown vessel. I am Captain Bae Seong-ho of the Imperial ship Eternal Dominion. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." They waited. No response. "Try mathematical sequences," Captain Bae ordered. "Start with prime numbers." For 6 hours, they broadcast every type of communication signal known to the Empire: mathematics, music, pictographic languages, even basic physics demonstrations. The mystery ship remained silent. "Sir," the communication officer said, "we've tried everything. Either they cannot understand us or they choose not to respond." "Captain, Bay was about to order a return to base when something amazing happened. The mystery ship's hull became transparent. Through the clear hull, they could see the ship's interior, and inside, moving around what looked like a control room, were small figures. "Are those people?" the science officer whispered. The figures were definitely humanoid. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. They moved with purpose around control stations that glowed with soft light. "Record everything," Captain Bay ordered, "and get me a detailed scan of those beings." The scan results were shocking. The aliens looked remarkably similar to several species in Imperial records, but those species had been extinct for thousands of years. "This is impossible," the science officer said. "They look like Terrans." "Terrans went extinct before the Empire was founded," Captain Bay replied. "These must be a different species that evolved similar features." "Sir, the hull is becoming solid again." The mystery ship's transparency faded, hiding its crew once more. But now they knew the ship contained living beings who looked surprisingly familiar. Captain Bay sent his report back to Imperial Command. Within hours, every top scientist and anthropologist in the Empire was studying the brief images of the alien crew. Dr. Song Yuri, the Empire's leading expert on extinct civilizations, made a startling discovery. "These beings match ancient Terran descriptions perfectly," she told the Emergency Council meeting. "But Terrans disappeared from the galaxy over 3,000 years ago. Their homeworld was destroyed in a stellar catastrophe." "Could some have survived?" Emperor Yoon asked. "Theoretically, yes. But if they did, where have they been? And how did they develop such advanced technology?" Strategic advisor Kim Tae-hyun studied the data. "Perhaps they fled to another galaxy and have now returned. That would explain the technology gap." Or, perhaps, Intelligence Director Lim So-young said quietly, "They never left. Perhaps they have been here all along, watching us, learning from us." The thought sent chills through the council. A species with technology beyond the empires, hiding in the shadows for thousands of years. "What do they want?" Emperor Yoon asked. No one had an answer. On the Eternal Dominion, Captain Bay continued his vigil near the mystery ship. His crew worked in shifts, monitoring every signal, every energy reading. Then, on the 3rd day, something changed. "Captain," the communication officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission. It's in Old Imperial." Old Imperial was the ancient language of the Empire's founding species. It hadn't been used for official communication in over 1,000 years. "What does it say?" The communication officer listened carefully. "It says, 'We need to talk. Your empire is in danger.'" Captain Bay felt his blood run cold. "Danger from whom?" The response came immediately, as if the aliens had heard his question. "From something far worse than us. We have come to warn you." Captain Bay stared at the mystery ship. These beings spoke Old Imperial, looked like an extinct species, and claimed the Empire was in danger. "Ask them what kind of danger," he ordered. "We cannot explain in words. You must see for yourself. Will you trust us enough to come aboard our ship?" Captain Bay hesitated. Every rule of first contact said never to board an alien vessel. But if the Empire was truly in danger, he had to know more. "Sir," his first officer said quietly, "this could be a trap." "Everything about this situation could be a trap," Captain Bay replied. "But if they wanted to destroy us, they probably could have done it already." He activated the communication system. "I will come aboard your ship, but I want assurances that my crew and ship will be safe." "You have our word. We mean no harm to any Imperial citizens. We wish only to help." Captain Bay made the decision that would change everything. "Prepare a shuttle. I'm going over there." The alarm bells rang across the Imperial monitoring station on Viridian Prime. Commander Kang Woo-jin rushed from his quarters, still putting on his uniform jacket. The sound meant only one thing. Something big was happening in the outer rim of Imperial space. "Report!" Kang Woo-jin shouted as he entered the command center. The room buzzed with activity. Officers ran between stations while screens showed flashing red warnings. Senior analyst Lee Da-eun looked up from her console with wide eyes. "Commander, we have a problem. A big one." Show me, Kang Woo-jin said, walking to the main display screen. Lee Da-eun pressed several buttons. The large screen lit up with a map of local space. A red dot blinked at the edge of their sensor range. This appeared 20 minutes ago. No warning, no warp signature, nothing. It just showed up. Kang Woo-jin studied the readings. What kind of ship is it? That's the problem, sir. We don't know. Lee Da-eun's fingers flew over her keyboard. I've checked every ship database we have, all 847 known species, every registered vessel type, even ancient designs from dead civilizations. This matches nothing. The red dot on the screen moved slightly. Then it moved again, faster this time. Is it accelerating? Kang Woo-jin asked. Yes, sir, but that's impossible. Look at these numbers. Lee Da-eun pointed to data scrolling on her screen. It's moving faster than any known ship can go, and it's doing it without any propulsion signature we can detect. Lieutenant Park Ji-hoon called out from the sensor station. Commander, the acceleration is increasing. This thing is moving at speeds that should kill any living crew inside. Kang Woo-jin felt cold sweat on his forehead. In his 20 years of service, he had never seen anything like this. The Galactic Empire had ruled space for over 1,000 years. They knew every planet, every species, every type of technology. Nothing surprised them anymore. Until now. Get me Admiral Park Hyun-soo on the emergency channel, Kang Woo-jin ordered. Priority 1. The communication officer nodded and began making the connection. While they waited, Kang Woo-jin watched the mysterious ship continue its impossible journey through space. Sir, Lee Da-eun said quietly. There's something else. The energy readings from this ship. They don't match any known power source. The patterns are completely alien. Alien how? Kang Woo-jin asked. The energy seems to bend space around itself. It's like the ship exists in its own bubble of different physics. Lee Da-eun shook her head. I know how that sounds, but the math doesn't lie. The main screen flickered and Admiral Park Hyun-soo's face appeared. The Admiral looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. Commander Kang, I got your emergency signal. What's the situation? Admiral, we have an unidentified vessel in Sector 7. It appeared without warning and is moving at impossible speeds. We cannot identify its origin or technology. Admiral, Park Hyun-soo leaned forward. Impossible speeds? Define impossible. Current velocity is increasing past light speed barriers without any warp field generation. The ship is also making course corrections that should flatten any organic crew. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Send me all data immediately. I'm calling Dr. Choi Min-ah from the Science Division. If anyone can figure out what we're dealing with, it's her. Yes, sir. Admiral, there's one more thing. Kang Woo-jin hesitated. The ship just changed course. It's heading toward Imperial Course Base. Admiral Park Hyun-soo's expression became grim. How long until it reaches populated systems? Lee Da-eun calculated quickly. At current speed, 18 hours to the outer colonies, 36 hours to reach major population centers. I'm leaving for your position immediately, the Admiral said. Do not attempt contact until I arrive. We need to understand what we're dealing with first. The communication ended. Kang Woo-jin turned back to his crew. All stations continue monitoring. I want every piece of data about this ship recorded and analyzed. Over the next few hours, more strange readings came in. The mysterious vessel seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Sometimes sensors could track it perfectly. Other times, it almost disappeared, becoming like a ghost ship. Dr. Choi Min-ah arrived with Admiral Park Hyun-soo 6 hours later. She was a small woman with intelligent eyes and graying hair. Dr. Choi Min-ah had spent her life studying alien technologies. She had seen things that would amaze most people, but when she looked at the data from the mystery ship, her face went pale. This is impossible, she whispered, studying the energy readings. These patterns suggest technology beyond anything we've seen. This ship operates on principles our science says cannot exist. What do you mean? Admiral Park Hyun-soo asked. The ship seems to exist in multiple dimensions at once. It's not just moving through space, it's moving through reality itself. That's why it can go so fast and change direction so quickly. Kang Woo-jin felt his stomach drop. Are we dealing with beings more advanced than the Empire? Dr. Choi Min-ah looked at him with worried eyes. Commander, if my analysis is correct, this ship represents technology thousands of years beyond our own, maybe more. Lieutenant Park Ji-hoon suddenly called out. Contact! The ship is slowing down. It's stopping. Everyone rushed to the sensor displays. The red dot that had been racing through space was now motionless, hanging in empty space between star systems. Why did it stop? Admiral Park Hyun-soo asked. Unknown, sir. But it's positioned itself directly on the main shipping route to the capital worlds. Any merchant or military vessel traveling that path will encounter it. Dr. Choi Min-ah studied the readings more carefully. The energy output has changed. It's like the ship is waiting. Waiting for what? I don't know. But I think we're about to find out. As they watched, several Imperial merchant ships appeared on sensors, following the normal trade route. They were heading straight for the mysterious vessel. Should we warn them? Lee Da-eun asked. Before anyone could answer, the mystery ship moved, not toward the merchant vessels, but away from them. It seemed to deliberately avoid contact. It doesn't want to meet merchants, Admiral Park Hyun-soo realized. It's waiting for something else. 2 hours later, they got their answer. A Imperial Navy patrol squadron appeared on sensors, also following the trade route. This time, the mystery ship didn't move away. Instead, it began broadcasting a signal. It's trying to communicate, the communication officer reported. But the signal is like nothing in our databases. The mathematical structure is completely unknown. Dr. Choi Min-ah listened to the alien signal through headphones. Her expression grew more worried by the minute. What is it? Kang Woo-jin asked. This signal contains information patterns that should be impossible to generate. The beings who made this have mastered mathematical concepts we barely understand. Admiral Park Hyun-soo made a decision. Send word to the capital. Tell them we need our best diplomats and scientists here immediately, and get me a direct line to the Emperor. Sir, should we attempt to respond to their signal? The communication officer asked. No, not yet. We need to understand what we're dealing with first. The Admiral paused. But prepare our most advanced ships for possible combat. If these beings are hostile, he didn't finish the sentence. Everyone in the room understood. If the mysterious ship represented hostile aliens with technology far beyond the empires, the galaxy was in serious trouble. As night fell on Viridian Prime, the mystery ship continued, its silent wait in deep space. Inside the monitoring station, Imperial officers worked around the clock, trying to understand what they faced. None of them knew that their entire understanding of the galaxy was about to change forever. Captain Bae Sung-ho's shuttle approached the mystery ship slowly. As they got closer, he could see details that their long-range sensors had missed. The hull surface wasn't just shifting between solid and energy. It was covered in patterns that looked almost like writing. Sir, his pilot said nervously, the shuttle's instruments are going crazy. It's like the ship exists in several dimensions at once. Stay calm, Captain Bae replied, though he felt far from calm himself. Just get us to their docking bay. A section of the alien ship's hull suddenly opened, revealing a landing bay that glowed with soft blue light. The shuttle settled gently on what looked like a solid surface, though the sensors insisted they were landing on pure energy. Captain Bae stepped out of the shuttle, wearing his full environmental suit. The air in the landing bay registered as breathable, but he wasn't taking any chances. 3 figures approached him from across the bay. They wore simple gray uniforms and walked with confident steps. As they got closer, Captain Bae could see their faces clearly for the first time. They looked completely human, not humanoid, not similar to humans, actually human. 2 men and 1 woman, with features that could have belonged to any Imperial citizen from the core worlds. Captain Bae Sung-ho, the lead figure said in perfect standard Imperial. I am Commander Nam Ki-tae. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Captain Bae stared at them. You're human, but that's impossible. Humans went extinct thousands of years ago. We prefer the term missing in action, Commander Nam said with a slight smile. We've been away, but we never left entirely. The woman stepped forward. I am Dr. Kim Hua Young, this ship's science officer, and this is Navigator Li Jinwu. We understand your confusion, Captain. We have much to explain. They led Captain Bay through corridors that defied understanding. The walls seemed to be made of living light, and the floor felt solid but looked transparent. Through it, he could see complex machinery that moved like clockwork made of stars. How is this possible? Captain Bay asked. Your technology is beyond anything the Empire has achieved. We had advantages, Navigator Li said, and we had reasons to develop quickly. They entered a room that was clearly the ship's bridge. Control. Stations arranged in a circle around a central display that showed the local star systems in perfect detail. But what caught Captain Bay's attention were the crew members working at those stations. There were about 20 humans on the bridge, all working with calm efficiency. They looked like people from any Imperial world, but they operated technology that seemed like magic. Please sit, Commander Nam said, gesturing to a chair that formed itself out of the floor. We need to tell you about the danger your empire faces. Captain Bay sat carefully. The chair was comfortable, adjusting itself to his body perfectly. What danger? Dr. Kim activated the central display. The image of local space expanded to show the entire galaxy, then expanded further to show neighboring galaxies. 3 million years ago, she began, our species lived on a world called Earth in a region of space your people have never explored. Earth was unique because it existed at the intersection of several dimensional boundaries. Dimensional boundaries? Space isn't uniform, Captain. In most regions, physics works the way your scientists understand it. But in some areas, the rules are different. Earth was in such a place. Navigator Li continued the explanation. Because of Earth's location, humans developed along different lines than other species. We learned to work with dimensional physics instead of against them. Commander Nam gestured to the ship around them. This vessel doesn't just move through space, it moves through the spaces between dimensions. That's why your sensors have trouble tracking us. Captain Bay tried to understand. But why did humans disappear from known space? We didn't disappear, Dr. Kim said quietly. We were forced to hide. The display changed, showing something that made Captain Bay's blood run cold. Massive dark shapes moving between galaxies, leaving empty space behind them. What are those? We call them the Void Swarm, Commander Nam said. They are not alive in any way you would understand. They exist to consume everything. Matter, energy, even space itself. The Void Swarm has been moving across the universe for billions of years, Navigator Li explained. They consumed the Andromeda Galaxy entirely. They've destroyed thousands of other galaxies. And they're coming here, Dr. Kim said simply. Captain Bay stared at the display. When? Soon. Our long-range sensors detect the advanced scouts entering this galaxy already. The main swarm will arrive within your calendar year. Captain Bay felt dizzy. Why are you telling us this? Where have you been? Commander Nam leaned forward. 3,000 years ago, the Void Swarm scouts reached our region of space. They found Earth and began their attack. But Earth's dimensional properties allowed us to do something unique. We hid our entire world in folded space. You hid your planet? We moved it out of normal dimensional space, Dr. Kim explained. But we couldn't save everyone. Millions of humans were scattered across the galaxy when Earth disappeared. Most died, but some survived. The Terrans in your historical records, Navigator Li said, were our people trying to rebuild after losing their homeworld. But without Earth's dimensional advantages, they couldn't maintain their technology level. Captain Bay began to understand. So you've been in hiding for 3,000 years? Not hiding, preparing. Commander Nam stood and walked to another control station. We've been studying the Void Swarm, learning their weaknesses, developing weapons that can fight them. And we've been watching the galaxy, Dr. Kim added. The Empire has grown large and peaceful. You've created something beautiful, but you're not ready for what's coming. The display showed Imperial ships and space stations. Captain Bay realized the humans had detailed information about every aspect of Imperial civilization. "You've been spying on us. We've been protecting you," Navigator Lee corrected. "Several times over the past century, Void Swarm scouts entered Imperial space. We destroyed them before they could report back." Captain Bay remembered Intelligence Director Lim's report about mysterious energy signatures. "Those were you." "Yes. But the scouts are getting stronger and more numerous. Soon we won't be able to stop them all." Commander Nam returned to his seat. "Captain, the Empire has resources we need. Billions of citizens, thousands of ships, manufacturing capacity across hundreds of worlds. And you have something else. Genetic diversity." "What do you mean?" Dr. Kim looked sad. "Earth's population was limited when we went into hiding. We've maintained our technology, but our genetic base is small. We need new blood, new ideas." "More importantly," Navigator Lee said, "many of the Empire's member species have abilities that could be crucial in fighting the Void Swarm. Telepathic species can detect them through dimensional barriers. Species with natural energy manipulation can power our weapons." Captain Bay tried to process everything they had told him. "You want an alliance. We want to save the galaxy," Commander Nam said simply. "The Empire, humanity, all the species you've brought together, everyone will die if the Void Swarm succeeds. What do you need from us?" "First, we need your Emperor to believe us. That won't be easy. Imperial science says our technology is impossible." "It is impossible, Captain," Bay said. "By Imperial understanding of physics, yes. But physics isn't the same everywhere." Dr. Kim activated another display. "We can teach your scientists new principles, but it will require them to accept that their current knowledge is incomplete." "Second," Navigator Lee continued, "we need access to Imperial manufacturing. Our ships are powerful, but we only have a few dozen. The Void Swarm will attack with millions of vessels." "And third," Commander Nam said, "we need the Empire to change how it thinks about war. You've fought against other civilizations, species that think like you do. The Void Swarm doesn't think at all. They have no emotions, no fear, no desire, except to consume." Captain Bay stood up slowly. "How do I convince my Emperor that everything we know about the universe is wrong?" "The same way we're convincing you," Dr. Kim said. "With proof." She pressed a control and the room around them suddenly changed. The walls became transparent, and Captain Bay found himself looking out at a view that should have been impossible. He could see his shuttle in the landing bay below. He could see the Eternal Dominion floating in space nearby. But he could also see through space itself, to the dimensional layers beneath normal reality, and in those hidden dimensions, dark shapes were moving toward the galaxy. "The advanced scouts are already here," Commander Nam said quietly. "The main swarm will follow soon. Captain, will you help us convince your Empire that humanity has returned to save them?" Captain Bay looked at the approaching darkness and made his decision. "Yes," he said, "I'll help you. Because if you're lying, we're all dead anyway. But if you're telling the truth, then we have a chance," Dr. Kim finished. "A small one, but better than no chance at all." Captain Bay activated his communication device to contact the Eternal Dominion. It was time to change everything the Empire thought it knew about the universe. The Imperial shipyard at Forge Prime had never seen activity like this. Ships from across the galaxy arrived daily, bringing representatives from all 847 member species. The massive construction facilities worked around the clock, retrofitting Imperial vessels with human technology. Admiral Han Soo-jin stood in the shipyard's command center, watching the organized chaos below. She was the senior human officer coordinating the retrofit program, a woman whose calm demeanor hid centuries of experience fighting impossible odds. "Status report," she requested from Chief Engineer Yu Jaemin. The young man consulted his tablet. 63 Imperial vessels completed, Admiral. The energy matrix installations are proceeding faster than expected. Good. What about the shield? Generators? More challenging. Imperial hull designs weren't built for dimensional anchoring. We're having to completely restructure their energy distribution systems. Admiral Han nodded. She had expected difficulties. Imperial technology was advanced but rigid, designed for predictability rather than adaptation. Human technology was the opposite, flexible, intuitive, alive. Admiral, called out Kim Hwa-young from a nearby station. She had been working with Imperial scientists to develop hybrid technologies. We have a problem with the weapon systems. Admiral Han walked over to Kim Hwa-young's station. On the screen were schematics of a hybrid quantum torpedo, combining human dimensional physics with Imperial manufacturing techniques. What's wrong? The Imperial power cores can't generate the quantum coherence patterns we need. Their energy is too stable, too uniform. Our weapons need controlled chaos. Suggestions? We need to work with the energy-manipulating species. The Veltar from the Outer Rim might be able to provide the variable energy patterns manually. Admiral Han considered this. Using living beings as components in weapon systems went against every Imperial regulation, but conventional regulations wouldn't stop the Void Swarm. Set up a meeting with the Veltar representatives. If they volunteer to help, we'll find a way to make it work. Across the shipyard, other unusual partnerships were forming. In Laboratory 7, Dr. Kim Hwa-young worked alongside Dr. Choi Min-ah and a crystalline Zorhai named Resonance of Truth. The quantum matrices are stabilizing, Dr. Choi reported, but I still don't understand how these patterns remain coherent without constant energy input. The patterns are alive, Resonance of Truth said in its musical voice. Human technology does not impose order on energy. It teaches energy to order itself. Dr. Kim smiled. That's actually a very good way to explain it. Our machines are partners, not tools. Impossible, Dr. Choi muttered, though she was beginning to accept that impossible had lost all meaning since the humans arrived. In Training Bay 5, Captain Cha Min-sik was learning to fight like a human. His instructor was Navigator Lee, Jin Woo, who moved through combat exercises with fluid grace. Imperial tactical doctrine emphasizes overwhelming force and superior position, Navigator Lee explained as they sparred. These tactics work against enemies who think like you do. Captain Cha attempted a standard Imperial attack pattern. Navigator Lee seemed to simply step aside, but somehow appeared behind Captain Cha instantly. The Void Swarm doesn't think, Navigator Lee continued. They don't fear, they don't retreat, they don't negotiate, they just consume. Fighting them requires different approaches. What approaches? Creativity, adaptation, the willingness to try something that has never been done before. Navigator Lee gestured for Captain Cha to attack again. Imperial military training teaches discipline and coordination. Good skills, but not enough. This time, Captain Cha ignored standard doctrine and tried an improvised attack. Navigator Lee had to work harder to counter it. Better. The Void Swarm expects patterns, logical responses. When you do something unexpected, you disrupt their coordination. Captain, Cha began to understand. You want us to fight without rules. I want you to fight with new rules. Rules that the Void Swarm cannot predict or counter. In the shipyard's diplomatic quarter, a very different kind of meeting was taking place. Emperor Yoon Jae-sung sat across from Commander Nam Ki-tai, discussing the political implications of the alliance. My advisors are concerned, the Emperor said. This partnership requires us to abandon many long-standing policies, such as species integration protocols. For 1,000 years, we've maintained careful separation between different alien cultures. Now you ask us to mix telepathic species with energy manipulators to put crystalline beings in the same rooms as plasma-based life forms. Commander Nam considered this. Your Majesty, the Empire's approach has brought peace and stability, but it has also created isolation. Each species lives within its own boundaries, following its own customs. That prevents conflicts. It also prevents growth. The Void Swarm is powerful because they function as a single entity. We can only defeat them by functioning as something better, a single entity that maintains its diversity. Emperor Yoon looked troubled. You're asking us to change the fundamental nature of our civilization. I'm asking you to fulfill its greatest potential. Commander Nam leaned forward. Your Majesty, the Empire's greatest achievement isn't its size or its military power. It's proof that different species can live together peacefully. We just need to take that cooperation further. And if it fails, if mixing the species creates chaos instead of cooperation, then we all die together instead of separately. But at least we'll have tried something magnificent. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Commander, sometimes I think humans are the most optimistic species in the galaxy. We have to be. Optimism is what kept us alive when our world was threatened. It's what drives us to try impossible things. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Admiral Park Hyun-soo. Your Majesty, long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures at the galaxy's edge. The Void Swarm's advance fleet has arrived. Commander Nam stood up immediately. How many ships? Initial count suggests over 10,000 vessels. And Your Majesty, they're not like anything in our databases. Emperor Yoon activated the command center's main display. The screen showed sensor readings from the galaxy's edge. Dark shapes moved through space, but they seemed to shift and change as they moved. They're larger than our estimates suggested, Admiral Park continued. The smallest vessels are the size of our dreadnoughts, the largest ones. He paused. The largest ones are the size of small moons. Commander Nam studied the readings with professional calm. This is only their advance force. The main swarm will be 100 times larger. How long until they reach Imperial space? Emperor Yoon asked. At current speed, 6 weeks to the outer colonies, 12 weeks to reach core systems. Can our retrofitted ships stop them? Commander Nam was honest. Unknown. We've never tested our new weapons against a force this large. Admiral Han's voice came through the communication system. Commander, recommend we accelerate the retrofit program. We need every available ship prepared for combat. Agreed. Your Majesty, I request permission to integrate human technology into all Imperial vessels regardless of size or class. Emperor Yoon nodded. Granted. What else do you need? Volunteers from the telepathic species for reconnaissance missions, volunteers from energy-manipulating species for weapon systems, and volunteers from every other species for crew positions on hybrid vessels. That will require unprecedented cooperation between species that have never worked together. Yes, Commander Nam said simply. It will. Over the following weeks, something remarkable happened. Species that had maintained formal diplomatic distance for centuries began working side by side. Telepathic Kethron partnered with analytical Zorhai to create early warning networks. Energy-manipulating Veltar worked with mechanical Tharn, engineers to build hybrid weapon systems. But the most surprising partnership was between humans and the Empire's administrative species. The detail-oriented Quinn bureaucrats proved remarkably adaptable to human technology, quickly learning to operate systems that seemed to respond to intuition rather than logic. It's like your machines think, Efficiency Prime 7 said to Dr. Kim during a training session. The Quinn's multiple arms danced across control panels with increasing confidence. They do think, in a way, Dr. Kim replied. Human technology evolved alongside human consciousness. It responds to intent as much as input. This explains much about your species' effectiveness. You do not simply use tools, you collaborate with them. In the training centers, something else remarkable was happening. Young officers from different species were learning to work together in ways their seniors had never imagined. Lieutenant Oh Dong-wook, fresh from the Imperial Academy, found himself serving alongside beings he had only read about in textbooks. His navigation partner was a Veltar named Current of Stars, whose natural energy manipulation complemented human dimensional technology perfectly. I don't understand how this works, Lieutenant Oh admitted as they practiced dimensional jumps. The mathematics say we should have collided with a star by now. Mathematics describes what happens, Current of Stars replied in its crackling voice. It does not control what happens. Your human friends understand this distinction. But how? Do you know where we'll emerge from the jump? I feel the energy patterns. You sense the dimensional boundaries. Together we guide the ship. The neutral meeting ground on asteroid station Zephyr 7 had been chosen carefully. It belonged to no single species and was far from any major Imperial worlds. If the meeting went badly, the damage would be limited. Emperor Yoon Jae-sung arrived, with his most trusted advisors and a full military escort. Admiral Park Hyun-soo commanded 3 of the Empire's most powerful warships, stationed just outside the asteroid belt. Commander Nam Ki-tae came alone. He walked into the station's main conference room wearing the same simple gray uniform Captain Bae had seen. No weapons, no guards, no signs of concern. He looked like any Imperial citizen except for his impossibly calm confidence. "Your Imperial Majesty," Commander Nam said, bowing respectfully. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting." Emperor Yoon studied the human carefully. "You claim to represent a species that has been extinct for 3,000 years. You claim to possess technology beyond our understanding, and you claim our empire is in mortal danger." "All true, Your Majesty." Strategic Advisor Kim Tae-hyun leaned forward. "Prove it." Commander Nam smiled slightly. "Which part would you like proven first?" "The technology," General Kwon Sang-wook growled. "Show us these impossible machines." "Very well." Commander Nam touched a small device on his wrist. "Please observe. Your security drones." Around the conference room, a dozen Imperial security drones hung in the air, their weapons trained on the human. They were the Empire's most advanced military robots, supposedly unhackable and unstoppable. Every drone suddenly stopped moving. Their lights went out. They dropped to the floor like dead metal. "What did you do?" General Kwon demanded, reaching for his weapon. "I asked them politely to take a nap," Commander Nam said. "The general's weapon wouldn't draw from its holster." "Don't worry, General. Your sidearm is also sleeping. Everything will work normally once I leave." Dr. Choi Mina pulled out her scanner and aimed it at Commander Nam. "Impossible. You're not generating any electromagnetic fields, no quantum interference patterns. How are you affecting our technology?" "I'm not affecting your technology. I'm talking to it." Commander Nam gestured, and the security drones rose back into the air, their systems reactivating. "Your machines and ours evolved from similar principles. They understand each other." Emperor Yoon forced himself to remain calm. "You said our empire is in danger. Explain." Commander Nam's expression became serious. He touched his wrist device again, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed the local galaxy from above, with Imperial territory marked in blue. "The danger comes from outside our galaxy," he began. "We call them the Void Swarm. They have been consuming galaxies for billions of years." The display zoomed out, showing neighboring galaxies. Many appeared dark and empty. Each dark galaxy was once full of life, Commander Nam continued. The Andromeda Galaxy alone contained over 1 trillion inhabited worlds. The Void Swarm consumed them all. Diplomatic Corps leader Shin Hye-jin spoke up. "If this threat is real, why haven't our long-range sensors detected it?" "Because the Void Swarm exists partially outside normal space. They travel through dimensional layers your sensors cannot reach." The display changed, showing the galaxy from different dimensional perspectives. "But they are here. The advanced scouts arrived 6 months ago." Intelligence Director Lim So-young checked her tablet. "We have no reports of any such incursions. Because we destroyed the scouts before they could establish communication with the main swarm." Commander Nam's expression was grim. "But we cannot stop them all. Soon, too many will get through." "Why should we believe you?" Kim Tae-hyun asked. "For all we know, this is some elaborate deception to weaken the Empire." Commander Nam nodded. "I expected skepticism. Dr. Song Yuri, would you join us, please?" Dr. Song Yuri had been studying ancient Terran records since the mystery ship first appeared. She entered the conference room, carrying a tablet loaded with historical data. "Dr. Song," Commander Nam said, "please tell the Emperor what you discovered about Terran extinction." Dr. Song looked nervous but spoke clearly. "Your Majesty, our records say that the Terran homeworld was destroyed in a stellar catastrophe 3,000 years ago. But when I examined the original survey reports, I found inconsistencies." "What kind of inconsistencies?" "The star system. where Earth supposedly existed, shows no signs of a catastrophic event. No stellar debris, no radiation signatures, no gravitational anomalies. It's as if the planet simply vanished. Commander Nam nodded. Because it did vanish. We moved our entire world into folded dimensional space to escape the first void swarm attack. That's impossible, Dr. Choi Min-ah protested. Moving a planet would require energy levels beyond any known physics. Beyond your known physics, Commander Nam corrected. Dr. Choi, you've studied the energy readings from our ship. What do they tell you? Dr. Choi Min-ah looked uncomfortable. The readings suggest manipulation of space-time itself, but our theories say such manipulation would require the energy output of an entire star. Your theories assume normal space-time. Earth existed at the intersection of multiple dimensional boundaries. In that region, the energy requirements are much lower. Emperor Yoon stood and walked to the holographic display. Even if we accept your story, why come to us now? Why not handle this threat yourselves? Because we cannot win alone. Commander Nam's voice carried the weight of centuries. Your Majesty, humanity's total population is less than 50 million. We have perhaps 60 ships like the one Captain Bay visited. The Void Swarm will attack with billions of vessels. Then how do you expect to win at all? With the Empire's help, you have resources we need. Billions of citizens, thousands of ships, manufacturing capacity across hundreds of worlds. But more importantly, you have diversity. Navigator Li Jinwu materialized in the room, stepping out of what looked like empty air. Several Imperial guards reached for weapons that still wouldn't function. Forgive the dramatic entrance, Navigator Li said. But I wanted to demonstrate our stealth capabilities before explaining why diversity matters. How did you get past our security? General Quan demanded. I walked through the walls, Navigator Li said simply. Our technology allows limited dimensional phasing, but that's not important right now. He activated his own holographic display, showing detailed information about various Imperial species. The Kethran people of Stellar Sector 5 have natural telepathic abilities, he began. They can detect void swarm vessels through dimensional barriers where normal sensors fail. The display shifted. The energy-manipulating Veltar from the outer rim can channel power directly into our weapon systems, increasing their effectiveness dramatically. The crystalline Zorhai can process vast amounts of data simultaneously, perfect for coordinating fleet movements against swarm tactics. Dr. Song Yuri looked amazed. You've studied all our member species. We've studied everything about the Empire, Commander Nam said. Your greatest strength isn't your technology or your military. It's your ability to bring different species together and make them work as one. The Void Swarm has no such diversity, Navigator Li added. They are a single consciousness spread across billions of vessels. They cannot adapt, cannot innovate, cannot change tactics, but we can. Emperor Yoon returned to his seat. What exactly are you proposing? An alliance, Commander Nam said. We share our technology and tactical knowledge. You provide manufacturing capacity and personnel. Together we build a defense that can stop the Void Swarm. And what guarantee do we have that you won't simply conquer us once the threat is over? Commander. Nam looked sad. Your Majesty, if humanity wanted to conquer the Empire, we could have done it centuries ago. We have been watching and protecting you for generations, never taking anything for ourselves. Besides, Navigator Li added, conquest is a void swarm tactic. Humans prefer cooperation. Dr. Choi Min-ah had been studying her scanner readings throughout the meeting. Commander Nam, my instruments detect massive energy buildups in deep space, far beyond anything we've ever recorded. The main swarm is beginning to transition into this galaxy, Commander Nam confirmed. We estimate full arrival in 8 months, maybe less. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. What do you need from us? Emperor Yoon asked finally. First, access to your shipyards. We need to retrofit Imperial vessels with dimensional shielding and quantum weapons. Second, volunteers from your telepathic and energy-manipulating species. They will be crucial for the new technologies. And third, Commander Nam looked directly at the Emperor. We need you to trust us completely. The Void Swarm is unlike any enemy you have ever faced. Traditional military thinking will not work against them. General Quan stood up angrily. You expect us to abandon 1,000 years of military doctrine based on the word of aliens who claim to be extinct humans? I expect you to adapt or die, Commander Nam said quietly. General, the choice is simple. Work with us and have a chance to survive, or face the Void Swarm alone and watch the galaxy burn. Emperor Yoon studied the holographic display showing the approaching darkness. 8 months to prepare for a threat that had destroyed galaxies. If we agree to this alliance, he said slowly, what assurance do we have that your technology will work? None, Commander Nam admitted. We have never faced the full Void Swarm before, but we have faced their scouts. The first battle began at the edge of the Kepler system, where the Void Swarm's advance fleet encountered the Joint Human Imperial Defense Force. Admiral Han Soo-jin commanded the combined fleet from the human vessel Defiant Spirit, while Admiral Park Hyun-soo coordinated Imperial forces from the retrofitted dreadnought Eternal Victory. Contact! Called out Lieutenant Oh Dong-wook from the sensor station. Void Swarm vessels dropping out of dimensional transit. Count is, by the stars, there are thousands of them. Admiral Han studied the tactical display. The Void Swarm ships were exactly as Commander Nam had described. Dark, constantly shifting shapes that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved in perfect formation, like parts of a single massive organism. All ships, this is Admiral Han. Implement Battle Protocol 7. Telepathic reconnaissance teams begin scanning for weak points. Across the fleet, Kethran telepaths focused their minds on the approaching enemy. What they found chilled them to their cores. Admiral, reported Kethran Commander Mind Touch Deep from the Eternal Victory. The enemy vessels. There is nothing inside them. No thoughts, no consciousness, no life. They are empty shells controlled by something else. Controlled by what? Something vast and distant. The controlling intelligence is not present in these ships. Admiral Park activated the fleet communication system. All vessels prepare for engagement. Remember your training. These enemies do not think like us. They cannot be intimidated. They cannot be negotiated with. They will not retreat. The Void. Swarm ships opened fire first. Beams of pure darkness lanced across space, striking the shields of the lead Imperial vessels. The retrofitted shields held, but barely. Return fire, Admiral Han commanded. The joint fleet opened up with its hybrid weapons. Quantum torpedoes phased through normal space before exploding inside enemy hulls. Dimensional pulse cannons created localized space-time distortions that tore Void Swarm ships apart. For a moment, it seemed the Alliance might win easily. Dozens of enemy vessels were destroyed in the first exchange. Then the Void Swarm adapted. Admiral, Lieutenant O called out in alarm. Enemy fire patterns are changing. They're modifying their weapons to penetrate our shields. Admiral Han watched in horror as the Void Swarm ships began firing new types of energy beams. These passed through Imperial shields as if they weren't there. How are they adapting so quickly? Admiral Park demanded. Dr. Kim Hwa-young, serving as science officer aboard. The Defiant Spirit provided the answer. The controlling intelligence is learning from each exchange. Every weapon we fire teaches it how to counter our technology. The tide of battle began to turn. Imperial ships started taking heavy damage as the Void Swarm found ways to bypass their defenses. Traditional military doctrine called for a fighting retreat, preserving forces for another engagement. But Captain Cha Min-sik, commanding the hybrid cruiser New Dawn, remembered his training with navigator Lee Jin-woo. All ships, this is Captain Cha. Abandon standard attack patterns. Repeat, abandon all standard protocols. Begin improvised assault techniques. Captain, Admiral Park's voice came through the communication system. Explain your intentions. Sir, the enemy is learning from our organized attacks. If we fight without patterns, without predictable tactics, they cannot adapt. Admiral Han understood immediately. All vessels implement chaotic engagement protocols. Each ship operates independently. No formation flying, no coordinated attacks. Make every action unpredictable. The effect was immediate and dramatic. As the joint fleet abandoned military discipline and began fighting like pirates, smugglers, and rebels, the Void Swarm's adaptation rate slowed. Commander Efficiency Prime 7, aboard the hybrid destroyer Crystal Edge, discovered something remarkable. Admiral Han, the Quinn analytical computers are detecting patterns in the enemy's confusion. When we act without logic, they cannot predict our next move. Exploit that advantage. All ships with Quinn crew members begin random tactical variations. The battle turned into something unprecedented in galactic history. Disciplined military vessels fought like wild raiders, while their crews improvised tactics that had never been attempted before. Lieutenant Current of Stars, the Veltar energy specialist aboard the New Dawn, began channeling power directly into the ship's quantum weapons without using the normal safety protocols. The resulting energy blasts were chaotic and unpredictable, but devastatingly effective. "This is impossible," Dr. Choi Minna reported from the Eternal Victory. "These energy patterns should destroy our own weapon systems." "The weapons are learning too," Dr. Kim replied from the Defiant Spirit. "Human technology adapts to its users. The more creative the crew becomes, the more flexible the ship's systems become." But even as the joint fleet found success with chaos tactics, the Void Swarm's numbers were overwhelming. For every enemy ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. Admiral Park reported grimly, "We're running low on ammunition. Conventional tactics suggest withdrawal to regroup." "Negative," Admiral Han replied. "If we withdraw, they'll follow us to populated systems. We make our stand here." That's when the miracle happened. The crew of the New Dawn had been pushed to their limits. Captain Cha and his mixed species team had been fighting for 6 hours straight, improvising tactics, pushing their technology beyond all safety limits. They should have been exhausted. Instead, they were getting stronger. "Captain," reported Lieutenant O from the sensor station, "ship's efficiency is increasing. Power output is up 30% from normal maximum." "How is that possible?" Navigation Officer Current of Stars provided the answer. "The ship itself is fighting with us. Human technology. It feeds on creativity, on cooperation, on the desire to protect others." Across the fleet, other crews were discovering the same thing. Ships with mixed human and alien crews were performing beyond their theoretical capabilities. Weapons were firing faster, shields were holding stronger, engines were providing more power. But it wasn't just the technology. The crews themselves were changing. Mind touch deep, the Kethran telepath suddenly gasped. "Admiral, I can sense something new. The enemy's controlling intelligence. It's afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Of us. Of what we're becoming. It has consumed thousands of galaxies, but it has never encountered anything like this alliance." Dr. Kim studied her readings in amazement. "The quantum resonance patterns from our ships are creating interference in the Void Swarm's control network. Our diversity, our chaos, our refusal to follow patterns, it's disrupting their hive mind." Admiral Han realized what was happening. "All ships, increase cooperation between species crews. The more we work together as different beings united in purpose, the more we disrupt their control." The effect spread through the fleet like wildfire. As humans worked alongside Kethran telepaths, Veltar energy manipulators, Zorhai processors, and dozens of other species, their ships began resonating with power that transcended mere technology. The Void Swarm ships began to slow, their perfect coordination faltering. "Enemy vessels are experiencing system failures," Lieutenant O reported with excitement. "Their formation is breaking apart." "Press the attack," Admiral Park commanded. "All ships, maximum assault." The final phase of the battle was like nothing in recorded history. Ships that should have been destroyed kept fighting. Weapons that should have overloaded kept firing. Crews that should have collapsed from exhaustion found new strength in their unity. The Void Swarm advance fleet, which had destroyed countless civilizations, found itself facing something it could not understand or counter. Beings who fought, not for conquest or survival, but for each other. When the last enemy ship was destroyed, the joint fleet hung in space, battered but victorious. They had lost 30% of their vessels, but they had proven something important. The Void Swarm could be beaten. All ships, this is Admiral Han. Excellent work, everyone. Return to base for repairs and reinforcement. Admiral, Captain Shaw's voice came through the communication system. What about the main Void Swarm fleet? This was just their advance force. Admiral Han looked at the tactical display showing the approaching darkness that represented billions of enemy vessels. We'll face them the same way we face these, together, as partners, not just allies. In the weeks that followed, word of the victory spread across the galaxy. The impossible had happened. The Void Swarm had been defeated in open battle. More importantly, the battle had changed everyone who participated. Species that had maintained formal relationships for centuries discovered they could be genuine partners. The rigid hierarchy of the Empire began to evolve into something more flexible and inclusive. Emperor Yoon Jae-sung, recognizing that the old order could not survive the challenges ahead, announced the formation of the Galactic Federation. Rather than subjects of an empire, all species would be equal partners in a democratic alliance. The humans have taught us something valuable, he said in his address to the galaxy. True strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation, not from uniformity, but from diversity working toward common goals. Commander Nam Kite was appointed as the first human ambassador to the Federation Council. In his acceptance speech, he said something that would be remembered for generations. Humanity didn't return to save the galaxy. We returned to join it. Together we have created something that neither human